Hi, everybody. I'm Greg.
And I'm Mike.
And this is our second episode of our new show. And last week we did Mega Man, the original. And this week we're doing McDonald's Treasureland Adventure. Woo, boop, 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 boop. And actually, it's made by Treasure, which always kind of confused me.
How ironic.
Right? And Treasure made some great games for the Genesis, and this was one of them. And the thing is, with this game, I didn't know it existed. Did you know it existed until I told you about it?
I know of a lot of the games like this, but I didn't know about the specific one.
Yeah, I didn't know about this game, and when I first got my Genesis, I was telling Lauren, and she was like, well, when I was a kid, I had a Genesis, and my favorite game was the McDonald's game. And I was like, of all the games, really? I was like, I don't have that. And she's like, I think I still have it. So I downloaded a ROM of it, and I played it on an emulator, and I was like, hey, this is actually a lot of fun. So I played through it on, I think, easy or something, or whatever it is. And I just enjoyed it a lot. It was just a fun platformer. And so when I said to you that we were going to do this show, what should we play? One of my first thoughts was to do this game because it's a game that we never did on the show because we couldn't do Genesis. And it's a great game that I don't think a lot of people know about. So let's highlight it a little bit.
Now, with the caveat, we're going to give a caveat here, or at least I am. It is a fun game, but we're not putting it on this level of like, it's not like, all right, top 5 games, Mega Man 3.
Right. It's not one of the best games ever made, but
it is fun.
It's a lot of fun, and honestly, it's one of my favorite Genesis games now. Because the Genesis honestly didn't have that many like great platformers. Not that many. It was a kind of a classic system, but it was known mostly for Sonic and sports games, and everything else was kind of like there was a port on Super Nintendo. So I don't know them specifically for the Genesis.
Yeah.
So this is a very Genesis game. It's got like all the bright colors and big sprites and stuff.
Yeah, I'm about to say the sprites are bigger, and it has that parallaxing background that almost every Sega game has. Where the backgrounds either stay static and you move, or the background moves while you stay static.
Yeah, and it really has that Genesis feel to it. It actually reminds me of a Sonic game, and that with all the colors and everything, and it was just a lot of fun. Especially also that it's multi-level. That the platforming goes pretty high up. Reminds me of a Sonic game also. Right off the bat, my favorite thing about the game was the boss fights, and I always say that. I said the same thing with Mega Man. Because they were fun. They were actually pretty unique with the whole concept of having to have a ruby, which is your health, get absorbed by the boss to make them vulnerable. That was pretty cool.
I don't know about that. It was kind of annoying. It was like, why would you force the person to be hurt to fight the boss? Do you know what I mean?
I wish it didn't hurt you.
Especially if you're a kid. Like, you don't know how to play. You're just like, I want to have fun. And you're basically handicapping them immediately. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. This game has a lot of messaging in it. A lot of sharing is caring. So maybe that's part of it. Give them the ruby, even though they don't deserve it.
That's the message for kids. Give people your toys to play with and kill them.
Give people your blood and your sweat and your tears, even if they fight you. And at the end, you'll win out. You'll have diabetes and you'll be a clown, but you'll win out.
Yeah, I enjoyed the boss fights. I thought they were fun. I definitely see your point with that, but it reminded me of a little bit of Darkwing Duck, how those boss fights were.
Well, a lot of them had to do with gripping onto things with your punching bag, your
let's talk about that
thing. Yeah,
that's actually, I'm going to retract my statement about the bosses being my favorite aspect of the game. That's what makes it unique to me. There's something about this ability to grab the I don't know what you call them, hooks, and pull yourself up onto platforms that made it really fun. Like being able to jump somewhere and then hook to catch yourself to lift yourself up to a platform was a lot of fun. I can't explain why, but it was a lot of fun.
No, it was a unique thing that you wouldn't usually see in something as simple as this game, but I like that it was used in boss fights. I do like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a perfect system. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you jumped and you were a pixel short, you missed it. Like, there was no...
That's true.
Like
that was annoying.
The zone in which you clasped onto it was way too small for the type of game this was. If it was Mega Man, okay.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it is a McDonald's tiny game. Do you know what I mean? So that was a little annoying. And if you jumped too high and too close to it and shot your glove up and fell, you didn't always catch it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, once again, it's a tie-in game. I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but you'd think that it'd have a little bit of a bigger box. I wish it was a weapon.
Really?
Because you have your little magic thing, but like, for an example, in the first level, you have those like gnomes who shoot out electricity and that turn into clouds and then zap down. Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to be able to just punch up and hit them, because there are times where you can't just jump up.
That's true.
Like, no matter what you do, you're gonna get hit by something.
That's true.
And we'll talk about it later when we did it on hard mode. It becomes impossible. Like, you just basically just get out of the way, just run. Don't even go and collect those little flowers. Which, by the way, no idea what the point of them was.
The flowers?
Yes.
Wait, are you telling me that you beat the game and didn't know what the flowers were the whole time?
When I did beat the game the first time a while ago, so I don't remember exactly what it was, but I can't see a major purpose for them.
They gave you your health.
No, they didn't. That was the rubies.
No, but when you collect the flowers, they add up to a ruby.
Oh, do they? Yeah. I just ignored them after like the first round. I'm like, this isn't doing anything. I ignored them.
They're so important. Yeah, they give you your health back.
But they give you so much money in the game, you just buy your health. Which is what I did.
Kind of, but...
Which is what I did.
But maybe on expert, it was more vital.
Yeah, it's probably, it's probably more of a prescient topic in expert mode.
So here's the big question. Did you beat the game?
Yes.
Did you beat the game on expert?
No, I didn't beat it on expert, and I'll tell you why. So we played the game on easy just to get through the game, and then Greg suggested I play on an expert to see what it was like, because, to be completely honest, a McDonald's game on expert sounds like an oxymoron. But I did, and I got to the second level, and the second level in this game is actually pretty difficult platforming, because it's a train, and the train is moving, and you can still grasp onto hooks and jump up, which is the major mechanic of the game. And there are gaps in between, and just like they did it in Mario a couple of times, where you're on a moving platform and you have to jump to the next platform, or you'll be taken back and hit the wall or fall in, whatever it is. So about halfway through that stage, you end up in a tunnel. And I thought this was a really good idea, just to switch up how to make it more difficult.
You're describing my favorite part of the whole game, by the way.
Yes, in the tunnel there are walls that come down. You have to duck to get beneath them. Now, in the Battletoad bike race, Mario does it plenty. Most second, third generation platformers, late NES, Super Nintendo, and Sega, had parts like this where you'd have to just duck at the right times, or duck and jump, whatever, to get over the hurdles. And if you didn't, you get smashed on the wall. This did something different. They were a constant height, but the lights in the tunnel illuminated smaller and smaller portions, so you didn't know when they were coming. Now on easy, there was no one to fight, so you just ducked, and you made it through.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know that, you could easily die. I don't remember in expert if they had guys.
No, there are no enemies in expert.
Huh?
There's no enemies in expert.
Okay. The part on expert that got me, though, wasn't that. It was after that. You're on a train, and this game is very happy-go-lucky and bright colors, and then all of a sudden you're in a pitch black train tunnel, and classical ballet music starts to play.
Oh, not just any classical ballet music. My favorite
Nutcracker,
piece.
Right? Nutcracker Suite, right?
No, it's Swan Lake.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not a ballet person.
Swan Lake is my favorite piece of music ever. So I got to this part, and it was like as if I didn't enjoy the game enough yet. was like, yes.
And you have to, so the part is, you have to jump on top of, because it's a circus train, for some reason the circus is ballerinas, on top of ballerinas who are pirouetting backwards on the track as you go forward, and you have to walk on their heads.
Yep.
And they present you with very wide jumps.
Yeah, you have to
time perfectly.
really stretch it out. You have to start jumping onto them really soon so that you're as close to the right side of the screen as you can be, because you can't catch up if you're too far behind.
Mm-hmm. And that's what got me. And I was like, all right, I got the gist of this.
So you stopped at that point?
I died a lot.
Wait.
4 or 5 times,
so
and I did not.
You didn't get up to the boss that comes right after?
I did in the original one.
Oh, let me tell you, I beat that boss so easily on normal mode that I didn't even think about what you're supposed to do to beat him. I just beat him and I moved on. You know, like when something's so easy that you didn't create a strategy for it.
You're talking about the hanging guy.
No,
The gliding guy.
No.
Or the rat. You mean the rat?
I think it's a wolf on the train. With the hat.
I think it's a rat.
With the big.
I think it's a rat.
Is it a rat?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think is it? I thought it was a wolf.
Pretty sure. Whatever.
Maybe it's a rat.
Matter.
It could be a rat. Who knows? But I think we're talking about the same thing with the sunglasses and the big hat. Okay.
I didn't know what to do with him either. I just shot at him.
Just shot at him, right? And then eventually he just like gets into the front of the train and you go flying off it, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on expert, it took me, I'm going to look at my video right now. I'm going to tell you how long it took me to beat this motherfucker because he killed me. Let's see. So I encountered him 45 minutes in and I beat him. How far? I beat him and it took me 45 minutes to beat him on expert.
What?
45 minutes to beat him on expert. It would have been like
you had to replay the game to get to him again, or just keep.
No.
the
You keep continuing. Passwords.
Oh, okay.
Passwords. Luckily.
Oh, okay.
I would have lost my mind. See, I don't mind getting through a tough game with a password system or an infinite continue system because I just get better and better at the level I'm stuck on until I beat it. If I have to start from the beginning, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So for this, 45 minutes straight of beating this guy, and you hit him and his hat flies off, and you could wear his hat and attack him while wearing his hat, and it's so confusing. And I think what it comes down to is you have very little health, and obviously if you game over, you have even less health because you're not going into the fight with all the extra rubies that you collected. Yeah. So you just have like your 3 or whatever you start with.
Yeah.
And so you fight him and you just keep attacking him, and he goes into all these weird patterns, and you have to be really quick at jumping up and back down and from left to right and just memorizing his pattern so that you don't get hit, because you have to hit him like 100 times and you can only get hit like 3, so there's no room for error at all. So I'm hitting him a million times, and then I eventually had to Google it because I was just like, I don't understand what I'm not doing. And apparently when you get him down to a certain amount of health, he jumps to the right side and you just have to jump onto the front of the train with him.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, then you don't beat him. Mm-hmm. And then, but once you do that, then you, I guess, stop the train and go flying off with him.
Yeah.
And he's not even a real boss.
Nope.
Like he's just some mid-boss, and that was the hardest part of the whole game to me. And at one point, my sister was with me, and I was just like, Alyssa, I can't beat this stupid boss in McDonald's game, and I feel like a moron.
Yeah, there's nothing more humbling than losing in a McDonald's game.
Yeah, but it's not an easy McDonald's game on expert, at least.
Well, yeah, you put it on expert. Well, it's just funny because you think, why do they have an expert mode in a McDonald's game? It's supposed to be for kids to sell McDonald's. That's what it's for.
Well, the nice thing about it, though, is that if you're a kid, play it on easy. It'll be fun, which is what Lauren always did as a kid, and she beat it. And as an adult, if you're just a fan of games that Treasure makes, then you have a challenge. So pretty great job of making this for everybody.
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah. What I was wondering why there wasn't more McDonald's, like, product placement. Like, why did he collect flowers and not chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
Why were you, or like, why weren't the rubies cheeseburgers? The bosses do eat them.
Right. That's very true.
Do you know what I mean?
I didn't think of that. You're right.
Why doesn't like enemies spit ketchup at you?
Yeah.
Why, like, you're already making a weird fantasy game. You might as well make it about McDonald's.
So true. I will say though that as far as product placement, with all of the characters that they included,
Yes.
they did a great job with that. That was really cool. And if I can't think of, you know, when you think of your childhood, and this is, you know, just this is for our generation specifically. When you think of your childhood, there's TV shows and stuff like that that really brings you back to that time.
Mm-hmm.
And part of our childhood was this kind of cartoon universe of McDonald's, between the Happy Meals and the commercials, and it just, for some reason, that's the way it was.
The early 90s and the late 80s was a heyday for marketing to children.
Yeah, it was.
They were allowed to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, and so this to me was the ultimate bringing me back to like that part of my childhood for the McDonald's stuff, because it captured everything. You had all of the characters were there. It had the bright, colorful, fun feel to it. It really just captures it well. I was happy about that.
No, I did enjoy it. Like, I remember I was home for a brief period recently, and I found McDonald's toys like the Hamburger driving a little car.
Yeah.
Or Mac the Knight. Do you remember Mac the Knight?
I don't remember Mac.
It was the moon. He was the crescent moon-headed blues singer.
Huh.
He played piano.
I don't remember him. You think I would?
Yeah, no, he was not a major character, but he was a character. And there's actually still an animatronic version of him still in use in a McDonald's in Florida.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Go on YouTube, I'm sure you could find
that
Mac
is so
the Knight.
funny. Mac the Knight.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be like Mac the Knife.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to talk about something else with this game that's very important. But first, I just want to touch on a couple of gameplay things that we haven't mentioned yet. One is the floating ability with the balloons.
Yeah, you know what? I like the idea of that. And it's like the bubble in the newer Mario games. Or,
yes. Or actually Magical Quest 3.
Yes,
which
very similar.
I'm still holding the hard mode world record on that for the speed
Very
run,
nice.
by the way.
I'm very proud of you.
Because no one's playing it.
Yeah, that's why. But that's a great game too.
It is. It's a really great
But
game.
I will say this: I didn't understand the mechanic at first, nor did I notice there was a tally of them in the HUD.
Yeah.
And it's very blurry. You don't really know what's going on. And I died the first playthrough, and I was like I was blinking, and I just hit A because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Whatever button I was hitting, and the balloons just kept busting.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? And it wasn't until later. Oh, okay,
Yeah, you
I got
collect
it.
them, and then you're
Well,
able
not even
to
the
just-
collecting part. It was that I have to let it go. I have to direct it and then let it go.
Yes.
I thought it was an automatic thing.
Right.
Like it just takes you back because of games like Mario, where the bubble will drop you over solid platform immediately,
Yeah.
and then you can let it go. So I like the idea, but it is not well explained.
Yeah, well, we also were not playing with the original instruction booklet. And I always try and remember that when I'm playing these games. And actually, sometimes I try to download the, like a PDF of the instruction booklet, because I like the idea of playing with, I mean, obviously you could Google things, but I like the idea of playing a game the way I would have if I had bought it new. Like with only knowing the information that they tell you in the game and they give you in the instructions. That's fun. So you collect these balloon icons, and they're very valuable because they allow you to just float across and get to a higher platform, which there are certain places that you just can't reach without them. And sometimes it'll take you to a bonus area or just an exit for the level.
There was one thing that I wanted to talk about that was bad about it, and it was irritating, and I wanted to point it out.
What?
And because you love to quote me as saying bad game design, in the third level of this game is a water level, and there's some really cool mechanics in it with like the little boats you get in and they get split in half and you have to jump to the next one before.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that when we say boat level, we mean water level, we mean boat level.
Boat level. I apologize.
Like you're not, you don't get to swim in.
No, you
in
die
it, unfortunately.
like everything else if you're not on solid ground. But in the middle of that level, there's the goal sign, and at the end of every level, there's a goal sign. You walk off the screen, it starts the next map. This one doesn't do that. This one slides you over to a pirate ship. And there are enemies that don't hurt you unless you fire at them. And
what enemies
like
are
the
those?
little penguin
they don't hurt you unless you
things.
fire at them?
Like the little blue penguin things. And they're sitting up on the crossbars on the pirate ship. And you there's like some items on there and you grab it and then you don't know where to go. You can't go left. You can't jump that far, so you're like, all right, I can't jump that far. Then they give you clouds. Like, oh, I'll jump on the clouds. But the clouds disappear, so you can't really go that far. But you have to go the opposite
Oh my god,
way.
I know what you're talking about with the big wave.
It does not make sense because the game goes
so stuck
the game
on that
goes,
part.
It starts that level off from left to right, then pushes you back from right to left, and you get onto this ship and it says goal, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the next level. But it doesn't do that. It just shifts the camera. To which you were sitting there going, is this a boss? Or am I supposed to kill these guys? They don't really die.
No, you just keep hitting them and they get angry and they jump at you. But then they kind of come back. They come back in
and then you're
clouds.
like, wait, do I follow the clouds left? No, you keep dying. You have to go back right. What makes you think you should do that?
Yeah, it's so weird.
And literally, like, it took me like even the second time through. I'm like, wait, what did I do here?
It's so weird.
I don't understand this. And finally, I was like, okay. And then the level ended. It was over. I was like,
yeah, that's it. Oh my god, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I would have totally missed it, and it was something that was really weird about the game.
And that was
it's the worst part of the game as far as design.
And that level
as
itself doesn't really teach you how to do some certain things that you should know how to do.
Right. All right, so I want to talk about something very important. The storyline.
Okay.
To me, the storyline is the biggest load of shit out of any storyline.
Okay.
Because it starts you off with that you find this treasure map and it's like, let's go on a treasure hunting adventure. And so the whole game you're finding new pieces of the map and you're trying to find this treasure. And then you finally end up having to go to like the moon or something. It's just what they always do, like DuckTales. You always have to go to another planet. Even Final Fantasy IV had that. You have to go to another planet. And you get there, and it's really hard, by the way, on expert. That whole space level, oh my god. You don't... Because you're so used to being able to just sort of run through a tough level and get hit a few times, you can't do that. So it was so hard to not get hit. So anyway, you get through that. It's really tricky, and then you come up to the final boss, who is another Darkwing Duck type boss, where you have like the multi-level thing. Actually, Kirby too.
I like that. It
reminded me of Kirby.
I like the doors
also.
and figure out which doors to go into and where to go. That was a nice little puzzle thinking boss.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that boss. It reminded me, like I said, Darkwing Duck, and there's, I think Kirby's Dream Land 3 had a boss
very
that was like that
Scooby-Doo.
also.
Go in one door, come out another.
Yeah, or Hotel Mario. That's another game that did something like that. So anyway, I think we could relate it to a million games, but it was really cool, really, really fun boss fight. Not easy, because sometimes he just did not cooperate, and if you went on the top row, you couldn't hit him, which is a pain in the ass. So you get through that, and he says, okay, fine, you beat me, take my treasure, something like that. And Ronald McDonald is like, I don't want your treasure, I just want to go home. What the hell are you talking about?
By yourself. You chose to go look for the treasure. This is kids.
You're not Dorothy in Oz. You didn't just get whisked away in some whirlwind. You said, let's go find this treasure. You find the treasure and you're like, I don't want treasure. When did I ever say that? I just wanted to go home the whole time.
Let this be a warning to you that when you eat too much McDonald's, you make bad decisions and illogical leaps of logic. It's like, I think the red dye had seeped into his brain.
Yeah, It's so stupid. It's like, did he at that point in the story just totally forget why we were playing the game? His whole motivation?
I think the point is it's a kid's game and they're saying you should, and I'm getting deep here, let's get meta.
Oh boy.
You should go on adventures and try things and meet new people, but your end goal shouldn't be money and power and fame. It should just be experience. It's a stupid way to say that.
I agree.
But
I agree with that. But I think there's one little adjustment they could have made. And by the way, let's note that we are criticizing the storyline of a McDonald's game for Genesis. So let's keep things in perspective.
This is complete bullshit. I am not going to go on a James Rolfe-esque rant about this. I'm not going to post a 40-minute Let's Play review of this.
Right.
But
let's just.
This is a video game podcast that has no visual element while we're doing it. So let's just have fun with this.
So if he would have said, instead of I don't want the treasure, if he would have said, I just wanted to find it, I don't need to keep it, that would have been different. But he didn't say that. Maybe he meant it, but he didn't say it. So then, of course, what is the treasure? When you open the treasure up, it is none other than a rainbow that takes you home. It is the clicking of Dorothy's heels in a box. And so it's like, I've never played a game, especially on Expert where it's hard, where you work so hard to get something and the end goal is really just like you wasted your time. Like you why were you working so hard to get there?
When you could have just stayed where you were and gotten the result. Read a book.
All I want is to be home. You're home already.
No, I want to go somewhere and want to be home.
I want to be homesick. So anyway, I really like this game a lot. It's one of those games that, especially if you're not playing on Expert, is fun to just casually pick up and go through the whole game. And then you're like, hey, that was fun.
Yeah,
I had
you
fun.
get your
like,
little dopamine boost for beating the game, and that's it.
I'm picturing a commercial for this game where they're like, buy it, get your dopamine boost, and you're done. Yeah, it is a fun game. It's definitely the best McDonald's game.
Of the many that we've
Not
played.
That there's some. Yeah, now that there are so many. Are there any other games that this game reminded you of besides the ones that we noted? Any other things that you want to talk about with that?
The Barney type games that you get, these kind of like childish adventure games, but they're mixed with things like Darkwing Duck and DuckTales, sections of Mario. In fact, full sprites ripped from Mario. If you notice the saws that cut the boat in half in the third level, they are literally just the saws from Super Mario World. I think it's just it's a good amalgamation of fun game mechanics that are a little bit of a challenge mixed into a kid-friendly package.
Yeah, I agree. I also something that we didn't mention is I like the what's it called? There's a boss fight with like the what does it remind me of? I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of. It's that guy on the ship with the giant lips, like his whole head is lips. And it reminded me of something with the platforms on the top left and the top right in the middle, where you have to sort of go in a circle around him in order to beat him. And I can't think of what game it is.
There's a lot of them like that.
Maybe it was Kirby. It might have been a Kirby boss.
It does kind of bring up where you're firing at a central thing, but the Resners in Super Mario World is similar.
Yeah, kind of. But this is I'm talking about something more like really close.
I know there's multiple bosses like
what.
that I've played. I just can't think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's not one of those throwaway tie-in games from the 90s. It's actually a game by a great developer, and it just happened to be McDonald's based, so you kind of get the best of both worlds with that. And I would love to play. Treasure also made Gunstar Heroes, which is something that I've honestly never played, but I've heard is fantastic, especially if you like Contra and things like that. And they made Dynamite Headdy, which I played like the first level of, and then I was like, I'm going to stop here because we need to do this on the show. It was really unique and cool.
And we never did it.
No. This was after we did the stream. Yeah, so this I'm talking about the new show. So we're going to have to do that in a future episode.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for listening and watching and
loving and learning and feeling us through the ether.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to be next week doing another game, a surprise. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.